திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். புழியர்கோன் வெப்பழித்த புகழியர்கோன் கடல் போற்றி, ஆழிமிசை கல்முதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரான் அடி போற்றி, வாழி திருநாவலூர் வன்றொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி, ஊழிமலி திருவாதவூரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். So today we are going to be discussing tirunāvukkarasar Thevaram. It is padigam 4.2. This is associated with the sthalam tiruvadigai. Tiruvadigai, as we know, is the sthalam where tirunāvukkarasar was, where he first received Shiva's grace. We have seen that background of tirunāvukkarasar's life when we discussed sandana padigam 5.90, or even before that 6.98 we have seen long time ago. So, but since it has been quite some time since we talked about that, let me just give a brief summary of tirunāvukkarasar's life before this padigam. So tirunāvukkarasar was born as a second child to his parents. His parents were called Pugalanar and Madiniyar, and they had a daughter first. Her name was Tilakavati. And then a few years after Tilakavati was born, a son was born, and they named that son Marulniki. That second son, Marulniki, is the one who becomes tirunāvukkarasar later in his life. The Marulniki is a wonderful name that they chose to give their son. Marul means confusion, and Niki means one who removes. So Marulniki means one who dispels confusion, one who removes ignorance. That is the meaning of that name that they gave. And when he was very young, maybe about 6 or 7 years old, his sister was probably 12 or 13 years old at the time. And in those days, they marry the girls around 13, 14. Boys get married around 16. That is how life was in those days. And their parents had identified a suitable groom for their daughter. They had arranged, and they had gotten engaged. So they had scheduled a wedding date, maybe about 2 months away or whatever. And in the meantime, the groom was called to go to fight the battle for the king. So the groom left to go fight the battle in the northern border of their kingdom. And in the meantime, the father dies. In those days, illnesses come and people die quickly. We don't know why or what. It could be a snake bite. It could be a fever. We don't know what happened, but their father died. And her mother also died with her husband. So now the daughter and the son, they are living alone. And the daughter is waiting for her betrothed groom to come back from the battle so that they can get married. But then the news comes that the boy they have planned to get married to, that groom got killed in the battle. So the sister, Tilakavati, was highly dejected with life. Parents have died, and the husband, the person she was going to marry, he has also been killed. So she didn't want to live anymore. She decided that she will give up her life. So in those days, when you give up your life, you announce and you build a fire and then you jump in the fire. That's how they did. So she had done all that and she was going to kill herself, and then the young brother, 6 or 7 years old, he hugs her feet and says, if you die, I will also die. So Tilakavati was, looked at her young brother, and compassion swelled in her heart. She felt that, I shouldn't leave this young brother alone in this world. I must raise him. So she gives up her decision to kill herself. She does not marry anybody else either. She was not. She doesn't marry anybody else. She lives as a single person, and single-handedly she raises her brother. And when the brother was in his youth, right, maybe 15, 16, 17, whatever was the age, he gets attracted to Jainism. In those days, Jainism was the dominant religion in the south. Hinduism was there forever, but Jainism and Buddhism, which were reformist movements that arose from Hinduism, those religions had become very dominant. They had spread all over India, and in the south also they had spread. And Marulniki, the brother, got fascinated by the principles of Jainism, and he was attracted to their preachings and teachings and their prasaram. And so he becomes a Jain and joins the Jain monastery. And the sister, Tilakavati, who changed her decision to kill herself and lived only to raise her younger brother, was highly unhappy. You can imagine. The only brother for whom she lived rejected her words, rejected the tradition of their forefathers, and became a Jain. So she left their village and goes to a salam called Tiruvadigai, which is about, let's say, 20-25 kilometers from their native place. She goes to that salam, and there's a big Shiva temple. So she settles there, and she was doing service to the temple. She was worshipping Shiva in Tiruvadigai, doing all kinds of service. In the temple, you do things like washing the floor, putting kolam in front of the temple, tending to the gardens, sweeping the things, and bringing water from the well to the Swami for Abhishekam, or plucking flowers, stringing garlands. You can imagine, right? All kinds of service that one can do in a temple. So she is doing all those services and worshipping Shiva there. And she had only one prayer to Shiva. Shiva, show the right path to my brother. So she was living there doing service in Tiruvadigai. Whereas the brother, who had become a Jain now, he was living in a Jain monastery, maybe about 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers away, in a place what we call as Tirupadripuliyur today. In those days, Jains called it Paṭaliputram. Patali means the name of the tree, and that tree in Tamil is called a Padiri, in Sanskritam it's called a Patali. So the brother had become a Jain monk, and he had mastered all the Jain Shastras, and he was very good in debates. And in those days they will go debate with other religions scholars, and they will defeat them in the debate, and then see, my way is the right way, come join us, and those kind of things, right? So that's how they were converting. So he became a great Jain leader. So he rose to be called Dharmasena. So Dharmasena was a big Jain leader. And he was a Jain leader like this for a long time. And his sister, older sister, doing service to Shiva in Tiruvadigai, about 20-25 kilometers away, she was, every day, she had only one prayer: "Oh Shiva, show the right path to my brother." So this must have gone on for 30-40 years. Okay, one day, Shiva appears in a dream. Says, "O Tilakavati, we will give Sulai illness to your brother, and we will show our grace to him." Right? That kind of thing. So that night, Dharmasena, who was in the Jain monastery, comes down with a very severe stomach ache. The Sulai is a general name of a very severe stomach pain. We don't know what exactly it is called in modern language. You know, in modern ailments, whether it is ulceritis, whether it is pancreatitis, whether it is liver inflammation, we don't know what it is, but it is a severe pain. So you will be debilitating pain. You can't eat, you can't walk, you are suffering in pain all the time. So the Jains, obviously, you know, they had traditional medicines, they had their mantras, and they tried whatever they could to cure that illness. Nothing happened, and he couldn't eat. You know, so when you can't eat and you have debilitating pain, you know, severe excruciating pain, you know, so he thought that he was going to die, which is what happens, right? When Sulai comes, that terrible pain leads people to die, or it is such an unbearable pain that people kill themselves, or both can happen, right? But he thought that he was going to die. And when you are realizing that your death is near, our human mind will bring back all kinds of memories. You know, when you are on your deathbed, your memories will come rushing, and you will think about all the things that happened in your life, and you know, the people who helped you, the bad things that you did in your life to others. Everything will come to our mind. So he had one desire. He wanted to see his sister before dying. So he sent people to his sister and asked her to come to the monastery to see him before he dies. So the messengers go to the sister Tilakavati, and Tilakavati says, I am not going to set foot inside that monastery. He knows where I live. If he wants to see me, he is welcome to come and see me here. So the messengers go back and tell Dharmasena this is what happened. So his desire to see his sister before dying was so intense that he decided to go see his sister. And because he was a Jain monk, you know, he couldn't simply go. So next night, he wears white robes. You know, Jain monks in those days, the popular strain of Jainism in the south was Digambara Jains. The Digambara Jains, their monks will go without clothing. And so he was a Digambara Jain. So he takes a white piece of cloth and wraps around, and then takes two of his trusted assistants. And with their help, he travels in the night and comes to Tiruvadigai. So he must have reached Tiruvadigai maybe like 5 o'clock in the morning. He reaches the house of his sister Tilakavati and falls at her feet. And then Tilakavati raises him and says, you know, don't worry, Shiva is there, he will protect you. And then she utters the Panchakshara Mantram, Om Namah Shivaya, and gives holy ash to Tirunāvukkarasar, the Dharmasena, her brother Marulniki, and asks him to apply it on his chest and forehead and all that. And she says, I am going to go to the temple now, come with me. So she takes her bucket and broom and all that, and she goes to the temple, and her brother Marulniki goes with her. And then as they go into the temple, and they stand in front of the temple, in front of the Swami in Tiruvadigai, and he's praying to Shiva, oh Shiva, please cure me of this pain. And when he sings, his prayers, they come out as songs. And that first padigam, Kūṭrāyanavāru, we have not discussed it so far. Maybe one day we will discuss it. He sings that Kūṭrāyanavāru padigam, 10 songs. In every song he is describing the great suffering he is undergoing. the great distress that he has, the great stomach pain he has, and he prays, "Oh Shiva, please cure this pain." At the end of the padigam, 10 songs, with Shiva's grace, his stomach pain vanishes. And a heavenly voice declares that from now on you will be known as Navukkarasar. Navukkarasar means, Arasu means king, Navu means tongue. So Navukkarasar means you are king of tongue. Literally means, that means you are king of speech. You will be known as king of speech from now on. That's why he is called tirunāvukkarasar. So the Navukkarasar is a name that he got from Shiva. And he is, of course, having received Shiva's grace, he becomes a great saint. He stays in Tiruvadigai, following his sister's footsteps, doing physical service in the temple. So that's why in tirunāvukkarasar image that you see, he will be always shown with a shovel or something like that on his shoulder. He will be holding it. That is a gardening implement that he used to garden, right? It's like to cut out the weeds and make proper gardening, right? So he will go wherever tirunāvukkarasar went. He will do physical service in the temple, like tending the gardens, trimming the bushes, making sure that the path around the temple is good for devotees to walk around. He will do physical service everywhere, in addition to singing great hymns. And when he was there like that, the Jains know about this, right? The next day they don't find Dharmasena in the monastery, so they hear the news that he has gone to his sister's place and he has become a Shiva devotee now. So they are highly unhappy, and also they are worried, right? If the great leader, becomes a Shiva devotee, what happens to the religion? What happens to their livelihood, right? Because they were living off as a Jain monks they were living. They had royal patronage. The Pallava king was a Jain, and if they all come to know that Dharmasena has become a Shiva devotee, the king may change. A lot of people will convert back to Saivam, and their power will go away. Their livelihood will go away. So they started scheming. It's like to give an analogy, right? If it is like the Pope who is in Rome, suddenly they say the Pope has become a Muslim. What will happen? Like that. So the Jain monks, they scheme. They go to the Pallava king. They tell him that, this guy spent a lot of time with us, learnt all our things, but it was all an act. He acted as if he got stomach pain that we could not cure. If he had real stomach pain, we would have cured, but he was faking it. And he went back to his sister and he has become a Shiva devotee, and he is disparaging our religion. He is doing all that kind of things. So he needs to be punished. So the king listens to the Jain leaders, because he is a Jain and they were advising him all along anyway. So he listens to them and sends his minister and his men to Tiruvadigai to arrest tirunāvukkarasar and bring him back to the royal court so that he can be punished. So the minister and the kings, they go to the Tiruvadigai and they tell him the king's order. And tirunāvukkarasar says, "Who is this king? I am not your king's subject. I am Shiva's devotee. I am free. I have nothing to do with your king. And I have not done anything wrong." Of course, then they all, beg him, because the local town is with tirunāvukkarasar, so they cannot forcibly take him. So they beg him, "Please come, otherwise the king will punish us." So tirunāvukkarasar takes pity on them, goes with them to the royal court. The king, of course, doesn't really weigh the evidence, right? King was not a just king at that time. So he simply asked the Jain leaders, what kind of punishment should we give? They say, put him in a lime kiln. Lime kiln is where they take the limestone and then they heat it up so that it becomes the calcium, all those things. The limestone becomes calcium carbonate and all that will happen. So carbon dioxide, heat, everything will happen. I have shared this in the suṇṇa-veṇ padigam. So they put him in that, and for 7 days he is tied up in the lime kiln. They all expect him to have died, but they open it and then they find the tirunāvukkarasar comes out without any harm. That's when he sings the suṇṇa-veṇ padigam 5.90. We have seen this in the past. And then the giants tell the king, this guy mastered our mantras, and that's how he was able to survive this kind of ordeal. And now we need to finish him off. So they feed him poison. And tirunāvukkarasar prays to Shiva and consumes the poison, and nothing happens to him. So the giants are really terrified now, right? 2 attempts to kill him, he has escaped both of them. So they tell the king, this is very dangerous. If he lives, it is a risk for you. So we need to kill him. So they go for the punishment, which is called crushing by the elephant. In those days, you will be either tied and probably buried neck deep on the ground, and an elephant will come and crush your head. That kind of a punishment. So they tell the king that's the punishment we should give him next. So the king orders the punishment, and that's what has happened. So he's all tied there, and the royal elephant is made to crush him. So when the royal elephant approaches him, he looks at the elephant in the eye and sings this padigam that we are going to see. 4.2 padigam he sings. And when he sang this padigam, the elephant stops in its tracks, and then instead of crushing him, it simply walks around him and goes back. The mahots, right, the elephant keepers, they goad the elephant, go crush him. Then the elephant gets wild, and then it attacks the keepers and some of the other giants who are standing around and runs away. And then, of course, the king comes to know about this. Other giants tell him that this is dangerous. He has to be killed. Then the ultimate punishment, they tie him to a big rock and take him on a ship to deep sea and dump him in the sea to drown and die. That's when he sings 4.11 suṇṇa-veṇ padigam, when the rock itself floats and brings him back to the shore. So we have seen 5.90, the padigam that he sang when he was put in the lime kiln. We have seen 4.11, the padigam that he sang when he was tied to the stone and thrown in the sea. But now we are going to see the padigam that he sang when the elephant was going to attack him, that point. So that is the background of this padigam. Any thoughts before we go into the padigam? If not, we will start with the first verse. So, Pavani, you can read with me. suṇṇa-veṇ, suṇṇa-veṇ,
suṇṇa-veṇ,
sandana cāndum,
sandana cāndum,
suḍart tiṅgaṭ, cūḻāmaṇiyum,
cūḻāmaṇiyum,
vaṇṇa urivai uḍaiyum,
vaṇṇa urivai uḍaiyum,
vaḷarum pavaḻa niṛamum,
vaڵarum pavaḻa niṛamum,
aṇṇal
aṇṇal
muran ஏறும்,
aran muran ஏறும்,
agalam valaya aravum
அகலம் வளாய அறவும்
tiṇ-nan
tiṇ-nan
கெடிலப் புனலும்
கெடிலப் புனலும்
உடையார் ஒருவர்
உடையார் ஒருவர்
தமர் நாம்
தமர்நாம்
அஞ்சுவது
அஞ்சுவது
யாதொன்றும் இல்லை
யாதொன்றும் இல்லை
அஞ்ச வருவதும் இல்லை.
அஞ்ச வருவதும் இல்லை.
Good. So in this padigam, in every song there are 4 lines followed by another line, anjuvadu yadondrumillai anja varuvadumillai. If you look at the verses, you will see that every song has that final line, anjuvadu yadondrumillai anja varuvadumillai. What that line means, anjuvadu yadondrumillai, anjudal in Tamil means to be afraid, to be feared, to be frightened, to be frightened, to be afraid of something, to be terrified. That is the meaning of anjudal. Bhayam is a Sanskrit word. Anjudal is a Tamil word. Acham means fear. Anjuvadi means that which is feared. Yadu ondrum illai. Yadu means, yadu ondrum illai means there is nothing. Illai is nothing. Yadu ondrum means there is nothing. That's the meaning of that phrase. So anjuvadi yadu ondrum illai. There is nothing that I fear. That is the meaning of that phrase. Anjuvadi yadondrum illai. There is nothing that I fear. Anja varuvadum illai. Varuvadum is future. Nothing that there is nothing that is going to come to frighten us. That means I am fearless. I am not afraid of anything. There is nothing that is ever going to come to frighten me. He has that guts. He has that strength of mental strength to be fearless, and that fearlessness comes because of his great devotion and his a conviction that Shiva is there to protect him. Right? When we are afraid, when we don't know what will happen to us, we are afraid. But if you know that there is somebody who will save you, you are not afraid. No, it's like, if you are going to a war zone, people are afraid. You don't know who is shooting from where and what will happen. But at the same time, if you are having a full body armor, you are sitting inside a tank, as an example, right? Nothing will happen. Or if you are going to a radioactive zone, you are not afraid. You are not going to walk into a radioactive zone because you know it is harmful. But at the same time, if you are having a radioactive shield, then you can walk in the radioactive area because the shield will protect you. Like that, tirunāvukkarasar has the shield of Shiva, so he is not afraid of anything. That is a statement that he highlights in every song. And he knows, right, because he has already gone through the lime kiln experience. He has already survived their attempt at poisoning him. So Shiva has saved him from those two. Shiva is going to save him from here too. That's how he is saying. Now we will look at the first 4 lines. suNNaveN sandana cāndum tiṅgaṭ cūḻāmaṇiyum. The whole song, right, in the first 4 lines, all the 4 lines, is describing Shiva. He is giving Shiva's attributes. What is Shiva wearing, what is Shiva riding, all kinds of things, right? He is giving all the descriptions of Shiva and then says tamarnam in the last end of that 4th line. Tamarnam. Tamar means servant, nam is us. So even though he is alone, he is talking of himself, but here he is using the royal we. So we are servants of Shiva. So we are not afraid of anything. There is nothing that is going to come to frighten us. That is the message that he is repeating in this padigam. So in every song you will find in the last line will say tamarnam, tamarnam. We are his servant. Now we look at the first 4 lines, which is all attributes of Shiva. suṇṇa-veṇ sandana cāndum. Sand is paste. Sandana cāndum means sandalwood paste. You know, the rich people, the royalty, they will apply sandalwood paste on their body. You know, this is a common thing in India because India is a very warm place, hot climate. So the sandalwood paste, when you apply, that will be very soothing and cooling on the skin, and of course it is very fragrant. Like people apply fragrance, scent on their clothing, body, etc. in America and West. You know, like that in those days in India, people will apply sandalwood paste for very nice fragrance. So that's what royal people wear on their body, sandalwood paste. But Shiva is not wearing sandalwood paste. What is he wearing? He is wearing holy ash. So suṇṇa-veṇ sandana cāndum means suṇṇa is powder, fragrant powder. Veṇ is white. Sandana cāndum is sandalwood paste. So he is describing Shiva as wearing fragrant white sandalwood paste. What does it mean? He is wearing holy ash, the white holy ash on his body like sandalwood paste. He doesn't wear sandalwood paste, he wears holy ash instead, as if it is sandalwood paste. That is the meaning of the phrase. suṇṇa-veṇ sandana cāndum. Shiva wearing holy ash on his body. suḍart tiṅgaṭ cūḻāmaṇiyum. Suḍart is bright. Tiṅgaṭ is moon. Cūḻāmaṇi is an ornament that people wear on their heads. I think in Sanskritam it may be called Chudamani. I don't know, remember the exact Sanskritam name for that. But it's an ornament that people wear on the head. So Shiva is wearing the crescent moon like a ornament on his head. That's the meaning of the phrase. suḍart tiṅgaṭ cūḻāmaṇiyum. Wearing the ornament of crescent moon on his head. Then what else he is wearing? vaṇṇa urivai uḍaiyum. Udai means dress. Urivai means skin. Vaṇṇa is beautiful. vaṇṇa urivai uḍaiyum means beautiful skin dress. You know what Shiva is wearing on his waist? He wears tiger skin around his waist, and the tiger skin is very beautiful because it is very colorful with stripes and golden yellow and all that kind of thing. So beautiful skin dress. That's what that meaning. Vaṇṇa urivai uḍaiyum. Beautiful skin dress. And next phrase, vaḻarum pavaḻa niṛamum. It is describing Shiva's color. Shiva is reddish hue. His body is bright and reddish. In modern pictures, you know, in paintings, a lot of people are drawing Shiva with dark color. That is incorrect. In Thevaram, there are many songs where Shiva is described as bright red color body. The only time when Shiva appears with a dark body is when Shiva comes as a hunter to bless Arjuna and grant him the Pasupatastram. That time he comes as a hunter, and hunters, as you know, the hunting tribes all over the world, they are always dark skinned. So when he comes as a hunter, he will be shown with a dark skin, but otherwise Shiva is shown with a bright form. Often in the descriptions you will say is red, he will be like fire-like, flame-like. That's how his body's color will be described. So here it is described as vaḻarum pavaḻa niṛamum. Niṛam means color. Pavaļam means coral. Vaḻarum means very nice, growing, that kind of thing. So vaḻarum pavaḻa niṛamum means his body is of a reddish color like coral. And then he has got a bull. And that bull is a very big bull, and it is a bull that protects and as well as it can fight battles. That's the phrase aṇṇal aran muran yerum. Yeru means bull. We have seen that in Thevaram there are 6 or 7 different words that are used for the bull. Idabam is Vrishabam in Sanskritam, Tamil Idabam or Vidai. Those are the 2 forms that correspond to Vrishabam. And then there are many Tamil words for bull. Yerudu, Yeru, Petram, etc. etc. So here Yeru is used, and that Yeru, that bull, the aṇṇal, aran, muran, all those 3 words are descriptors of that bull. Aṇṇal means chief. That means it is a very powerful bull. Aṇṇal. Aran means protection. The bull is a protection. Who is the bull protecting? It is not protecting Shiva, right? Shiva is riding on the bull, but the bull is a protection for the devotees. So bull can fight, it can protect the devotees. So aran for the devotees, and muran means bad fight. It goes to fight with those who are inimical to the devotees. So it protects the devotees by fighting off others, fighting off the evil. So that kind of a bull he has got. Aṇṇal aran muran yerum. And what else he does here? He is wearing a snake around his waist. Agalam vaḷaya aravum. Aravu means snake. Agalam is chest, waist. Right? Agalam is the chest. So he has got a snake on his chest. And where is he? tiṇ-nan kedila punalum udayar. Kedilam is the name of the river that flows through Tiruvadigai town. So in many Thevaram padigams, the river that flows through the place will be described. Like in 2.90 we have seen, it will say Nivamalga Karaimel. Niva was the river that is in the Nelvail Arathurai place in padigam 2.90 that we have seen before. Like that the river will be mentioned. So here is mentioning Kadila Punal. Punal is water or river. Kadila Punal is Kadilam river. tiṇ-nan Kadila Punal. Tin means strong, nan means good. So the Kadila Punal, the Kadilam river, is a basically, whenever it rains, fast flowing river. So that is a thin, strong currents. Nan, good, because the river waters bring a lot of good things to the people, right? The water is an essential thing for life. So with the water, you can have good crops. So you are having plenty of things to eat. Your place is very fertile. Everybody is happy. That kind of a good things happen when there is a lot of water. So tiṇ-nan Kadila Punal, that Kadilam river that flows through Tiruvadigai. So Udayar means he has. So all these things, right? Shiva has. He is wearing holy ash as if it is a sandalwood paste. He is wearing Chandran as the head ornament. He has got a tiger skin as a dress. He's got coral red color. He has got a very powerful protecting and fighting bull, and he is wearing snake, and he is in Tiruvadigai. The name is not mentioned explicitly here, but by implication, he is in Tiruvadigai where Kadilam river is flowing. He is there. Udayar oruvar. Oruvar means one who has. Okay? But also oru in Tamil means one. It can also mean incomparable. So whenever it refers to Shiva, oruvar means he who has all these things and he who is incomparable. Both meanings can be assumed. That Shiva, oruvar tamarnam. We are that Shiva's servants. Because of that, anjuvathu yadondrum illai. I am not afraid of anything. Anja varuvadum illai. There is nothing that can come to terrify me. That is the meaning of the first verse. Any thoughts, comments, questions we can discuss? If you are on mute, unmute and ask. Or Pavani, you can read the whole verse again. Yeah.
Shall I read, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. suṇṇaveṇ sandanac cāndum suḍart
tiṅgaṭ cūḻāmaṇiyum.
Okay. suḍart cūළாமாணியம் vaṇṇa urivai uḍaiyum vaḻarum pavaḻa niṛamum aṇṇal aran muran ஏறும் அகலம் வளாய அறவும் tiṇ-nan கெடிலப் புனலும் உடையார் ஒருவர் தமர்நாம் அஞ்சுவது யாது ஒன்றுமில்லை அஞ்ச வருவதும் இல்லை.
Good. I was looking at this verse. You read very well. Good. I was just looking at this verse and I realized one thing. This verse, there is no ra sound in this song. Makes it easier to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I am thinking is that we have covered only one verse today, but with that we can listen to the Oduvar singing the whole padigam. That way you will get an idea how the padigam goes and how he sings. And then next week we will continue with other additional songs of this padigam. So now I will play the Oduvar. So I will stop the recording now and we will listen to the Oduvar. Tiruchitrambalam.